Welcome back. In part 1 of this lesson, we walked through the basic technique of using a keyword index to locate information within a print secondary source and provide an example of what using that technique might look like in practice. In part 2, we'll talk more about why using a keyword index can improve your searching and provide some additional tips for using a keyword index effectively. We'll also talk a little bit about why one might use a table of contents to locate information and provide a quick example of what that might look like. So let's get started. In part 1, we talked about the mechanics of using a keyword index to locate information within a print secondary source. Let's talk for a second about why you might want to use a keyword index in the first place. Using a keyword index when utilizing a secondary source like a legal encyclopedia or treatise can be useful in multiple ways. First, using an index when utilizing a secondary source, like an encyclopedia or a treatise, is useful because it leads one directly to the part or parts of that secondary source where relevant material is contained. We saw that in part 1. The search terms emotional injuries, employer-employee led us directly to section 32.7. We didn't have to go clicking around in a list of results trying to find the best hit. Second, using an index will help you focus your search terms and find related terms of art that you may not have been aware of. For example, in part 1, when I looked up emotional distress in the index, I was directed to the related broader term, emotional injury. Knowing that there's a related term used by an editor, a legal professional, is helpful because it enables a researcher to expand one's research by including alternate terms. So here are a few tips for using keyword indexes successfully. Do your preliminary analysis. The First Year Legal Research Guide, under the Research Strategies tab, has an excellent review of the questions you should be asking to generate terms or keywords to search. Take advantage of that resource. Once you've generated an initial list of search terms, it's important to take the time to generate synonyms. The punishment for stealing a loaf of bread may be indexed under theft. Extortion is synonymous with bribery or fraudulent inducement. As we saw in part 1, emotional distress may be indexed under emotional injury or mental suffering or outrage. All terms will read in your torts casebook. Finally, it's important to think of broader and narrower terms. Law is very hierarchical. A narrow concept like wrongful discharge may be indexed under a broader term like employment termination or at-will employment, or even under a related term like retaliatory discharge. Again, intentional infliction of emotional distress may be indexed under a broader term like emotional injury, as we saw, or even under intentional torts. So the lesson here is whether you're in print or online, think of all related terms and then try to determine which are the most likely to be indexed. Another way to access information in secondary sources is by using the table of contents method. This is the method used by practitioners who are already familiar with a particular source or a particular area of law. The table of contents method is particularly useful when one is just trying to get an overview of a topic or issue. It's often difficult to search by keyword until you're familiar enough with an area to know what the correct keywords are. By navigating from the general to the specific, like using a breadcrumb trail online, one can arrive at a particular area within a secondary source where a topic or issue is discussed, even if one does not know the terms of art for that topic or issue. One of the advantages of the table of contents method is that it works just as well online as it does in print. Every secondary source that exists online will have a detailed table of contents, even if it doesn't have a keyword index. Larger sets will have both a basic topic outline and a detailed table of contents for each chapter. As a quick example, if I were an Illinois practitioner interested in knowing under what circumstances my client could file a false imprisonment claim against a police officer based on false arrest, I might pick up an Illinois-specific treatise like Professor Michael Pallelli's Illinois Tort Law and look at the table of contents. If I did, I would find that Chapter 2 deals specifically with false imprisonment, and within that chapter, Section 2.06 addresses false arrest by police officers. That would be a great place to start my research. Finally, one of the features of using print secondary sources, especially print treatises, is that they often include other important finding tools like case name tables and statute tables. So if you'd like to begin your research with an access point like a known case or statutory citation, as opposed to using keywords, you can do that as well. That's it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll talk more about the differences between subject searching and keyword searching and the pluses and minuses of both techniques. See you then.